Look at that cute little thing. No, it's not a Hot Wheels car or the kind of kiddie car you buy for 300 bucks from Walmart so your kids can drive around in the driveway. You're watching Automotive Anonymous, and that's the Pontiac Solstice. These were produced from 06 to 09. There were about 65,000 of them made. They shared the platform with the Saturn Sky, or if you're an overseas friend, the Opel GT. And today we're going to review it. So we're going to do a walk around, go through the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with the GPS, and then the final thoughts to decide, is this the kind of roadster that you should be looking for, or the kind you should leave at the lot? Speaking of, big thanks to the Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow it. I'll link them below. Otherwise, we're going to dive right in with this one. It's in a color that I like to call red. And if you haven't already noticed, there's a lot of aftermarket on it. Not just the wheels, the Willwood brakes, and the exhaust, but there's actually a big turbo, a bigger intercooler, tuning, piping, plumbing, which makes this a 400 wheel torque, 350 wheel horsepower, 2,800 pound Pontiac Solstice that can lose traction at 60 in third gear. And I think it's time to dive right in. And if you're new to my channel, I should mention I have a 2023 Mazda Miata Club, so I like lightweight, rear-wheel drive, manual transmission, convertible top cars, especially when it's your second car. So whether you're in the market for something like the Solstice, the Saturn Sky, the Fiat Fiata, or any of the 4 generations of the Miata, they're absolutely phenomenal cars, incredible in driving characteristics, as nothing is like driving a sub 3,000 pound car, especially with that combination of power and gearbox. I've been really excited to drive this one, especially where it's heavily modified, because I have been wondering, like a lot of other roadster owners, should you turbo, should you supercharge, or should you keep that sweet naturally aspirated characteristics that your car already has? And I'm going to share my findings throughout this video to hopefully help you guys. But anyways, if you like vehicles like this, give this video a big thumbs up so that I know to do more of them. And now we're actually going to dive right in. This is actually the most desirable of the Solstices because of the badge right there. It's a GXP, so this is the turbo one. You could get it though in either a automatic or a manual transmission, although I don't know why you'd buy the automatic. And then either a non-turbo naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that makes mid 170s horse, mid 160s pound-feet of torque, or the turbo 2-liter that makes 260 horse, 260 torque. And then if you find a reputable tuner, you can actually bump these up pretty easily to 290 horse, 340 torque. In fact, GM actually offered that as a package that you could buy, still under factory warranty, which is pretty cool. These wheel stance cars are roughly 6 feet wide, 4 feet tall, 13 feet long. They have an 8-foot wheelbase, roughly 5 inches of ground clearance if it's bone stock, and then a final drive ratio of 373, which means it's decent at putting the torque down, but also getting okay miles per gallon. Has a 13-gallon tank located right there on the driver's side. So it gets about 19 city, 25 on the highway, which means you're gonna be road tripping for up to about 340 miles if you keep your foot out of it. Although I need to mention there was actually a premium package that offered a limited slip diff with a 391 final drive ratio and a leather wrapped wheel. Why do I mention this? It's because this one has it. From the factory, you'd be rocking some 245, 45, 18 tires, but what you get on this one, it's actually a 295, 30, 18, so quite a bit wider. The stance looks really good, and like I mentioned, even at 60 in third gear, traction on, it's still losing traction, even with a 295 well-treaded performance tire. I think we've exhausted everything out here for now, so let me just show you the key, and then we're gonna hop inside and move on with this review. The door panel of the Solstice is interesting. It's the old school, cheaper plastics, but they age well. No cracking or fading. And you have the basic necessities for what you need. You have Solstice on the aluminum plate, cloth mats with GXP listed on them, and then aluminum pedals, the hood release latch under here, OBD2 port, and then your lighting stock left of the steering wheel. And then really nice leather seats. And you know what? You guys can drop them forward, and I'll show you what storage or lack thereof you have back here. Just a little mesh pocket to hide some stuff. And then you have a pencil holder on the left of the driver's seat. Sitting inside the Solstice actually is really nice. You have a nice view of the hood bulges just over the fenders. The windows are short, but I feel like you have good visibility. And then those Corvette styled mirrors do a phenomenal job, so you actually can see out pretty well. You do have a mirror that slides on the sun visor. And then you can easily pop the top, push the button in the glove box. I'll show you in just a minute, and show you how to drop the top and what the trunk looks like. But otherwise, the horn sounds decent. Not too loud. You have some options for cruise on the left, audio and voice on the right. Really nice, pretty timeless gauges, I would say. And then just some old school basic buttons for headlights, trip reset, hazards, traction control. Seriously, what more do you need in the Solstice? You even have a couple grab handles for your passenger. But we're gonna fire it right up. I'll let you hear some revs. You can hear something's off, something's different about this one. You do have a 12 volt, no glove box because you got the transmission right under here, and the shifter is actually pretty smooth. Manual e-brake, couple cup holders that disappear. And otherwise, a pretty nice place to be in the Pontiac Solstice. We're gonna turn it off though and hop around to the back. But before we do, let's make this a convertible. There is then the button in the glove box right there. From there, you can see the glove box button popped out the rear latches, so that you can lift it up, expose the 5.4 cubic foot trunk. Keep in mind, you're not gonna be trapping anyone in here because they can escape with the escape lever. And then it's pretty easy to drop the top and let it fold back underneath, push it down all the way. And then you can drop the top right over, and there you have it. A little bit more difficult than the Miata, but easier than some other cars. Moving on to the passenger side, you can't help but notice how wide those 295s are and just how well that stance look is on this specific model with its options. You have a chrome door handle with the key, because that's how you used to get in and out of cars that didn't have keyless entry. And then the old school soft touch black plastics have held up really well, and they do their job. Solstice, on the aluminum door sill plate, you still have cloth mats, a decent sized glove box that does lock, and then you have a cup holder on the side. The seats are hiding something back here, and it's not another mesh pocket. It's a speaker. And you could probably fit a folder back here, maybe a couple Kit Kats if it's not warm weather, but not a whole lot else. Our backpack is fairly safe, and we have GXP stamped into the back leather seats, which look really fantastic. But we're finally to the point that we can pop the hood and show you what that big turbo looks like on the Pontiac Solstice. And there it is. Looks kind of funny with the hood up like that and those big old school headlights, but I think it looks cool. You have all your reservoirs up top, washer fluid, brake, and power steering. And then you can see the big old intercooler in front of the radiator, all the piping and plumbing from RPM Motorsports. Oil dipstick, 5W30. The filter in there, more piping and plumbing, and the big old turbo is right there on top of the passenger side where the exhaust manifold would be. And it's honestly a really cool setup. I like how it looks. I think it looks fantastic and very unique. But now it's time to finally take it on the road, do a 0 to 60 driving impressions, and have a little bit of fun with it. Initial driving impressions of the modified GXP. It's really fun. I hope you guys can hear on camera the blow-off valve. I do wish it was a 6-speed, especially with how much power this one's making. But honestly, it's really fun, it's really good. There's a lot of characteristics to it when you can hear all the noises, the rumbles, the pop-backs that this turbo 2-liter offers. As mentioned, in the walk around, visibility is really good in this vehicle. You can really tell a lot of stuff. I did forget to mention on the interior, there's a map pocket or another spot to put your notepad, more pens, papers, whatever you want down here. But honestly, this is just really cool. It is kind of a short throw shifter. The steering, you can feel that it is old school hydraulic, which is nice. Easy to brake match. There's a little bit of a blow off right there. Honestly, it's just really cool. A really nice place to be. 8-foot wheelbase means it's not terribly long, especially with that 13-foot overall length and a 28, almost 2,900 pound curb weight without me in the car and a full tank of gas. But honestly, I'm having a good time. It's really fun in here. The brakes, there's a little bit of a dead feel, maybe about a centimeter, and then just the more you squish it, the more it goes down. I could imagine though that these Willwoods do really well on a track. We'll do just a little bit of throttle. It is really cool to drive what feels like an old school turbo setup. I'd imagine this is somewhere in the 12s at least, as it is, you know, with more experience, better wheels and tires, maybe lighter weight and wider, or stickier compounds at least, or just better, not to be confused with better, whatever that is, better road conditions. You could probably hit low 12s, I would imagine. But it's a cool place to be. I like the old school GMs, whether it's this, the GTO, the SSR, any of them. They're just fun, iconic vehicles in my mind. With Pontiac gone, I think they're gonna hold up well. Road and wind noise, it's not very windy today compared to other days, but I do feel like it's similar to my Miata. There's a little bit more of a drone just from the exhaust, but overall the exhaust is pretty quiet. The owner who modified this before it came to the dealer must have done a good job. It feels pretty healthy. I heard that it was tuned by Unparalleled Performance in California. And when you have a vehicle running right, the right air fuel, knock, you know, decreased, timing, all those things, it really makes a big difference. We're gonna do a little bit more of an acceleration. Light initially. You can see, yeah, you can see that the light is flashing at us, that we're losing traction. It's interesting, this one does not feel like you're going nearly as fast as you are compared to something like the lighter weight Miata. Going 60, 80, whatever the speed limit is, and those cars feels really fast. And this though, it's bigger, it feels more stable, maybe from the extra 500 pounds, and I just don't feel like I'm traveling quite as fast as I do in those cars. Overall though, you guys absolutely need to drive one. It's really cool, a really fun experience. And I think we're gonna get to our private road. We'll do a 0 to 60, and then we'll head back for our final thoughts. 0 to 60 in the GXP. I'll verbalize the true 0 to 60 after, and then without the foot of rollout can be seen on the bottom left of the graph to follow. Keep in mind, density altitude is about 4,800 feet, so this vehicle is still down on power. Roughly 6 to 8%, and then we're on my private road. We're not on a sticky drag strip, so weather and road conditions are not ideal. But watch how hard it pulls when we're in the upper RPMs. That's where this vehicle really shines. Final thoughts of the GXP Solstice is it's an incredible car, and one that I'm really glad that Pontiac made the decision to make a roadster. We all know they were making some weird cars in the mid 2000s right before they had to close their doors, but I'm sure glad that they made this one with over 60,000 of them in production. Most of them are probably still on the road, in a garage, in a shop, somewhere that can be found if you're interested in one. It's really fun. I think this little 2-liter with all the aftermarket goodies feels great. But it is an old school turbo car. You could hear it. There wasn't a lot of power below about 4,000 RPM, and then it hits you. It comes on strong, and you end up going a lot faster than you expect in that short amount of time at the top of the RPM band. But overall, in my time with it, it's comfortable. The seats are really good. It has pretty good visibility for a roadster. It is about 500 pounds heavier than my Miata, and the top takes a lot more work to move. Would I prefer this over my own Miata? Personally, no, just because I'm not the biggest Solstice fanboy. I've always thought they've been cool, but it's never been the car that I'd have a poster of on the wall. And honestly, I really like the reliability, the naturally aspirated effect that the Miata has, to where I can rev it out. It's more linear power. I know what I'm expecting, what I'm getting myself into. Does that take away from this? Absolutely not. To each their own. This is a phenomenal car, very fun, lots of characteristics, and I would assume that these are only going to go up in value. This one is heavily modified, but tuned well. It feels very healthy driving it around, listening to it, and they're only asking like 18 grand, I think is what the sticker was. That seems like a steal. Anyways guys, if you like my video, consider liking the video with a big thumbs up. Comment, tell me your thoughts, and then subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time guys, take care.